Much. Call the meeting to order and welcome everyone to the first SKHHP Executive Board meeting for 2026. And Claire, can you please call roll?
Certainly. City of Auburn, Nancy Backus.
Here.
And City of Kent, Dana Ralph.
Here.
City of Burien, Liz Steed. Or alternate Anya Zupansek.
Liz is on her, or this is on Liz's calendar, but I haven't seen her hop in, so I'm here for her until she gets here.
Sounds good. Thank you. City of Covington, Christina Soltis.
I am here.
City of Des Moines, Jean Oxiger. I see you, but I didn't hear you, but we know you're there.
You're not, is the audio not working?
We can hear you now. Thank you. City of Federal Way, Brian Davis.
Here.
City of Maple Valley, Victoria Schroff.
Here.
City of Normandy Park, Eric Zimmerman.
I'm present.
And City of Renton, Carmen Rivera. All right. Or our alternate, James Alberson. All right. City of SeaTac, James Lovell.
I'm present.
And City of Tukwila. So typically, Thomas McLeod would be here, but he has stepped down, and we now have Dennis Martinez joining us.
And I'm here. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. And King County, Sonori Marshall.
Here.
All right.
Okay. I'm assuming roll call is done. So we will move on, and while roll call serves as our way of introducing each other, I think sometimes we have advisory board members, but today we don't. But this will be the place where we would always welcome any advisory board members to the meeting. Claire, are there any staff work group members that would like to introduce themselves today?
Yeah, we have several staff work group members here, and let's popcorn around. I see Michaela came on screen. So Michaela, go ahead.
Good afternoon. Michaela Dafford, she, her pronouns, and I'm with King County's Department of Community and Human Services.
How about Laurel?
Hello, Laurel Humphrey, City of Tukwila staff.
How about Angie?
There I am. Angie Mathias, City of Renton, Long Range Planning Manager.
Evan.
Good afternoon, Evan Maxim, City of SeaTac Director.
And for the record, I see Liz Steed joined us for the City of Burien. Welcome, Liz.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone.
And Matt.
Hey, everybody. Matt Torpy, Community Development Manager, City of Maple Valley.
And Daphne.
Daphne Hernandez, City of Covington, Associate Long Range Planner.
Great. And Anya.
Hi, folks. Anya Zupansek, Human Services Manager for the City of Burien.
That's it, Chair.
All right, thank you. All right, we'll move to public comment. This is the place on the agenda. If you would like to make comment and are attending online, please use the raise your hand function at the bottom of your screen, and you'll have 3 minutes to make your remarks. Please state your name and city of residence for the record. And do we have anyone online that would like to provide public comment today?
I don't see any hands raised, Chair.
All right, thank you. And do we have any written public comment today?
We have not received any written public comment.
All right, we will move on then. We will move to item 3, and that is approval of the November 21st, 2025, so last year meeting. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion for the approval of the minutes? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor of the approval of the November 21st, 2025 minutes or meeting minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, please say no. The meeting minutes for November 21st, 2025 have passed. Claire, do we have any agenda modifications today?
We do not.
Okay, moving on to item 5, board business. The first item is election of chair and vice chair. And at our November meeting, we opened the floor for chair and vice chair nominations. To date, the only nominations received are for myself for chair and Mayor Ralph as vice chair. So I'll pause here and see if there are any additional nominations from the floor at this time. Anyone want to take this on? All right, I will then close the nominations, and Claire, I'll move over to you or have you move the chair selection.
Thank you. So nominations are closed, and a motion would be in order to appoint Nancy Backus, Chair of the SKHHP Executive Board for 2026. May I have a motion?
This is Councilmember Martinez, City of Tukwila. I make a motion that we appoint Nancy Backus for the chairman for the 2026 session.
Second.
Thank you. Great. So seconded by Eric Zimmerman. So the motion before you is to approve the nomination of Nancy Backus for chair of the SKHHP Executive Board for 2026. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The motion carries. A motion would be in order to approve the nomination of Dana Ralph for vice chair of the SKHHP Executive Board for 2026.
I move that we nominate Dana Ralph as vice chair of SKHHP for 2026.
I'll second.
Second. Oh, Christina beat me to it.
Okay.
Seconded by Christina Soltis. Thank you. So the motion is to approve the nomination of Dana Ralph for vice chair of the SKHHP Executive Board for 2026. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. And the ayes have it. The motion carries. Thank you, Chair. I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you, Claire, and thank you all very much for your support. Dana, anything you would like to say?
Just thank you. Looking forward to continuing to do this work next year. So, or as we go into this year, I guess we're in 2026 already.
It's hard to believe that we are on the 16th of January already.
Yeah.
All right, item B is an update on the TWG award reallocation. And so just as an update, they were previously awarded $1,940,000 from the 23-24 Housing Capital Funds. And in light of ongoing challenges regarding the TWG development project, including funding gaps and the site's current for sale status, the board established specific criteria in November for the potential rescission of TWG's $1.94 million award. And we'll receive an update today on the current status of the award and whether the project has successfully secured the necessary funding to proceed. And I'll turn it over to Claire for that.
Thank you, Chair. So I am using a little bit newer technology, so I want to make sure everyone can see my slides in their full presentation mode.
Yes.
Right, thank you. So by way of background on the topic, so TWG development was awarded $1,940,000 from the 2023 and 2024 funding rounds of the SKHHP Housing Capital Fund for the construction of Pandian at Star Lake in Kent. TWG development is currently prohibited from accessing any Washington State Housing Finance Commission financial resources, and the project has struggled to get additional funding commitments. There we go.
Thank you.
So TWG has listed the site at Pandian at Star Lake for sale. Simultaneously, TWG applied for funding in October 2025 from Amazon's Housing Equity Fund. In August 2025, the executive board agreed to wait until the outcome of the Amazon award was known until making a decision about the SKIP award. So in November 2025, the executive board formally adopted the following 3 conditions under which the TWG award allocation would be rescinded. If the application to the 2025 Amazon Equity Fund was unsuccessful, if TWG sells the property, or if TWG forfeits the SKIP award. An updated status on the project was received by TWG on January 8th of this year, and they reported that Amazon had communicated to them that the awards would not be announced until the end of January, and the property is still on the market. Therefore, the SKIP award to TWG has not yet been rescinded, and none of the 3 adopted criteria of the board occurred. So this means that those funds were not reallocated to the 2025 funding round, and scenario 1, which you adopted as the primary recommendation at your November meeting, is the recommendation moving forward to your legislative bodies. So that recommendation can be seen in the minutes attached to your agenda packet, which was sent to you Friday, January 9th at 4:48 p.m. from me, and is as follows on your screen. 1.2 million sourced from House Bill 1590 funds for the African Community Housing and Development's African Diaspora Cultural Anchor Village in SeaTac. Just over $1.8 million sourced from House Bill 1590 funds for St. Stephen Housing Association's Steelhouse in Renton, and $922,000 sourced from Substitute House Bill 1406 for Mental Health Housing Foundation's Steel Lake in Federal Way. So I'll be at each of your councils beginning next week through March, seeking concurrence on this recommendation with the exception of SeaTac City Council and King County Council. And that's all I have, Chair, on this topic. And I'd be happy to take any questions the board has.
Thank you, Claire. Board members, are there any questions? Okay. Not seeing any hands raised. And if I do miss your hand, please just feel free to jump in and let me know that you have a question. All right, if there are no questions, we'll move on to the 2026 Executive Board meeting dates. And as you know, we're scheduled to meet on the 3rd Friday of each month from 1 to 3 p.m. The calendar invitations for those meetings for this year have been sent out, and I think we should take a moment to review the schedule and identify any recurring conflicts or necessary adjustments. And Claire, this is probably a place to discuss whether we have a December meeting or not.
Agreed. So thank you, Chair. So as this is our first meeting of the year, I wanted to confirm the board meeting calendar with you to the best of your knowledge currently. You have a copy of the schedule in your agenda packet, and what you see before you is the same as what was included in the packet. These meetings represent the 3rd Friday of every month with quarterly in-person meetings. Those in-person meetings have typically taken place at the City of Auburn Council Chambers, and we will likely continue this practice for the foreseeable future, as it does provide a standard way for us to hold our public meetings. So 2 items to draw your attention to. First is the June 19th meeting is proposed to be canceled as this falls on Juneteenth, which is a federal holiday. It means that we will work to adopt the 2026 Housing Capital Fund guidelines at our May 15th meeting, or if needed at our July 17th meeting. Second, you'll see the December 18th in-person meeting on the calendar. And typically we hold this date in December should we need it for the Housing Capital Fund recommendation process, as the chair alluded to. We have typically canceled this meeting as you have taken action on the funding recommendation at your November meeting. But this year, I am going to be modifying our timeline for the funding recommendations to be able to fully align with our public funder partners prior to the advisory board making their final recommendations. Because of this modification for the board, it will mean holding a board meeting to adopt the funding recommendation in December. The third Friday falls on December 18th this year, but I have already heard from some board members that moving this up to the week prior to that and potentially holding it as a virtual meeting instead of in person may be more preferable for the board. So I wanted to bring the discussion to the board today for your consideration and would appreciate any feedback or ideas you have for that December meeting. You don't have to decide about the December meeting today, but we will want to revisit the conversation if we don't make a decision today, ideally by the summer. So thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Claire. All right. Do we have a motion to approve the 2026 Executive Board meeting dates?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second? We have a motion and a second. Is there any right? Do we have a second? Did I say second? Sorry. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of the approval of the 2026 Executive Board meeting dates, please say aye.
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 All opposed, please say no. Motion carries. Right, item D is the ILA amendment update, biennial work plan and budget. So during the development of the SKIP 5-year plan, a proposal was introduced to transition the work plan and budget to a biennial cycle. You'll remember that discussion last year in November to pursue the shift. And so today we're going to receive an update on the necessary amendment to the SKIP ILA and the transition to a biennial framework. So I'll turn it back over to Claire to present.
Thank you, Chair. So the information we'll be reviewing today was also included in your agenda packet. There was a memo there and the draft ILA amendment. So as part of the SKIP 5-year planning discussions with the executive board, a recommendation was raised to transition SKIP's annual work plan and budget to a biennial work plan and budget beginning with the 2027-2028 budget cycle. So this shift is projected to save staff time across SKIP and member jurisdictions, leading to a more efficient administrative process and providing additional staff time to other priorities during the first year of each biennial budget and work plan cycle. The executive board was briefed on the concept at our last meeting on November 21st, 2025, and at that time you supported advancing the concept. Additional information was requested at that time, and today's presentation is in response to that request. So the founding SKIP Interlocal Agreement, or ILA, provides that the executive board has the responsibility and authority, quote, to create and implement an annual work plan approved by the executive board to guide the work of SKIP staff, and that the executive board will have the power to develop and approve an annual budget and annual work plan for SKIP. Because of the specificity contained in the ILA, that SKIP develop an annual work plan and budget, an amendment to the SKIP ILA is required to transition to that biennial process. Amendments to the ILA must be in writing and upon approval of all legislative authorities of all member jurisdictions. So the initial draft ILA amendment attached to your agenda packet was reviewed by City of Auburn's Deputy City Attorney. This initial draft incorporates the annual to biennial work plan and budget amendment. After further discussions with the SKIP staff work group, a recommendation was proposed to incorporate the two new member cities of SKIP, Maple Valley and SeaTac, into the amended version of the ILA. So we will review the amendments shortly together. Additional legislative materials will be developed and shared with staff work group members to transmit to the legal representatives of all SKIP member jurisdictions for review and approval. These materials will include the ILA amendment, an agenda bill summary template, and a resolution or ordinance template, as well as slides for the presentation. The topic of the SKIP ILA amendment would be taken up on the same evening and immediately preceding the adoption of the SKIP work plan and budget at each SKIP member's respective council meeting. These meetings are anticipated to occur in May and June of this year. Aligning the two SKIP topics on the same evening at member councils' meetings will ensure that SKIP has the clear authority to transition to a biennial budget and work plan. The ILA amendment effective date would be January 1st, 2026, to provide the authority of the jurisdiction to adopt a biennial work plan and budget. The amendment would become effective once all parties to the agreement take legislative action approving the change. And the 2027-2028 biennial budget and work plan would become effective once all parties to the SKIP ILA take legislative action and approve the items with the starting date of January 1st, 2027. So you can see here what adding Maple Valley and SeaTac to the founding ILA would look like. This would incorporate them into the ILA, whereas right now they aren't called out at all. So they adopted the ILA as a companion agreement. So this would specifically show them in this in our new version. And let's see, the word draft at the top would be removed. So that made it into everyone's ILA, but we would like to remove that. And then the original effective date that's listed at the top would also be removed, as our attorney thought it was confusing there. And instead, we clearly outlined the effective date in section 34, which we will review shortly. So here is a snip from section 1G and H on page 3 under definitions. This is the first place where annual budget or work plan is proposed to be amended to biennial budget and work plan. I'm not going to show you each place where that change shows up, but more simply that there are 7 instances where the word annual was changed to biennial, and 1 instance where the word year was changed to biennium. And in terms of effective date, I would like to swap my screen. Give me 1 minute. I want to share the actual ILA amendment draft so you can see it more fully for this section. Give me 1 minute, please. Thank you. All right, let's see. Okay. Are you able to see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. Okay, so this is section 34, filing an effective date, prior agreements. This is the last section in the ILA. These red line changes acknowledge the prior agreement effective date, and that all parties who adopted that prior agreement acknowledged that all acts consistent with authority of the founding ILA agreement that occurred after January 1st, 2019 were ratified and affirmed. and the terms of that agreement were deemed to have applied. Further, to clarify the effective date of the amended version, the last paragraph was added. And I'll go ahead and read it. The effective date of this amended founding interlocal agreement shall be January 1st, 2026. All parties whose legislative bodies adopt this agreement after January 1st, 2026, hereby ratify and affirm all acts consistent with the authority of this agreement that occurred on or after January 1st, 2026. Are you seeing my slides now? All right, great. So in terms of next steps, I'll be developing those council materials that I mentioned earlier. I'll be finalizing this ILA amendment. Then I will be sharing it with the SKIP member jurisdictions via our staff work group members to then share with the legal representatives from your jurisdiction. I will then incorporate any necessary changes that come up or that are desired and work with all parties to ensure we have consensus and agreement. And then we'll be moving forward to your legislative bodies for council adoption in late May to early July, except King County will be later, as has typically been the practice for those, the adoption of the work plan and budget. So at this time, Chair, I'd be happy to take any questions the board has.
Thank you, Claire. Sonari.
Thank you for this, and I definitely support, I mean, as we voted on it, the idea of the biennial budget. I think, as I mentioned last time, it poses a less of a value add for King County because of the fact that our budget is on a different cycle than everybody else's because of the election change. And also, so I think making sure that the ILA language is written in a manner that our lawyers are in agreement with is going to be really important for the ability of the county to ratify the ILA amendment. When Arch went through some changes maybe 3 or 4 years ago to the ILA, we got the changes so late in the game that ultimately we couldn't reach agreement and the county didn't actually vote to ratify it. In the end, it still went through because it had enough of the majority of the members and that was allowable under the Arch one. But I want to put that flag out that we do have a rather robust legal team and they do look at things very carefully, and our exec side tends to look at things with an eye towards what the council side will also look at. And so just allowing that time, if you like our sign off, and to make sure that it meets the needs. People do look at these sorts of things really carefully over here. So making that flag.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Right. Thank you. And let's move on then to the next item, which is item E. And so in March, we'll transition our focus to the development of the, excuse me, believe it or not, 27-28 biennial work plan and budget and SKIP's 5-year plan. So to prepare for that March 20th in-person meeting, a survey has been prepared to guide the conversation, and we anticipate the formal adoption of the 27-28 biennial work plan and budget at our May board meeting. Claire, do you want to review the survey for us?
Yes, thank you, Chair. So every year about this time, I ask for your feedback through a survey to tell me your thoughts as we begin thinking about developing the work plan and budget. And this year we will be developing that biennial or 2-year work plan and budget. So a little different than in previous years. I will also be working towards incorporating the board's 5-year vision into the upcoming work plan. And in preparation for our March 20th in-person workshop to discuss the development of the 2027 biennial work plan budget and the 5-year plan for SKIP, I've put together a survey. Some of you have already submitted the survey because it was emailed to you early on Tuesday, January 13th at 4:15 p.m. But my request is that we're going to spend time today working on that. And my request is that the primary executive board member take the survey today unless you decided that the alternate should submit it. But I think our primary board members are mostly here. We're going to spend 15 minutes completing it. And I'll set a timer and share it on my screen. And I did see something was shared in the chat. I have a different version, Dorsal. So if folks could hold off clicking that link, I'm going to share the version with you here. Okay. Thank you. So we'll spend 15 minutes completing it. I'll set a timer here, share it on my screen. You should feel free to turn off your cameras as you fill it out, if that's more comfortable for you. And I would also.
Oh, can you tell us what are the differences between the two?
Sorry, the second link, the one from me, is the correct link.
But what's the difference between the two?
One may be for, let me open it and see.
Claire, the link I posted in the chat's the one you emailed the executive board.
Okay. I don't know why we have two different links to the same survey. So unless I'm not sure why. But give me 1 second before we move on. Let me double check something really quick.
Michaela's asking if one is the test survey, but I think Dorsal, you said this is the one that was in the email that was sent out earlier in the week.
Correct, ma'am.
Let me, executive board, 1 minute. I'm gonna send, just so we're all super clear. I'm looking at it here and I'm going to, it seems like Google sends a new short link every time. So we're super clear. We're going to use this link and I'm going to please use this link. All right.
So now that's a different link.
Correct. Let's go with that link because I can confirm I'm looking at 2 responses from that one. Yes, I've received 2 responses in advance of the meeting, so can confirm. But please use that last link just in case. So that would be appreciated. So I'll go ahead and start the timer. If you can open an incognito window to prevent the survey from connecting to your personal account. If you're having any issues connecting to the survey or opening it up, let me know. And I'll go ahead and start the timer.
So where is the link?
The link is in the web chat.
It's in the meeting chat. Are you able to see that?
So hopefully, Jean, at the bottom of your screen, there is a little icon that says chat. And if
I have it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
You. All right. Oh, there we go. Let's stop that timer. All right, thank you all. And I am missing 2 surveys just for awareness. We were having technical issues with the staff work group, but want to say, Mayor Backus and Liz, I don't see yours. So if there's a way to just double check that, that would be very appreciated. And then I apologize for the confusion and apologies to Dorsal for the confusion on the survey link. So Google apparently does not like to make things very straightforward. So thank you all. And yes, we learned something new about Google. And that's it for the survey. Thank you all for participating and taking that. And that's all from me, Chair.
All right, thank you very much. And we will move on to the legislative update for 2026. And as you all know, the legislature is already underway and very busy on some items that may or may not be good for our cities. So hopefully you will remain engaged for the entire session, and going to have Dorsal, who is going to be tracking housing legislation, and he's going to be providing us an update each month during the session. So Dorsal, if you would please take it away and provide us with what we have so far.
Thank you, Chair. Happy sunny Friday to everyone. I will just need one moment to transition from IT to presenting. Are my slides showing correctly?
Yes, you may want to move it into full slideshow. There.
Perfect.
Oh, we can see your notes, Dorsal.
I swear it swaps every single time. All right. Are we ready now?
There we go. Perfect. Good. Thank you.
Thank you for your patience. And so as the chair mentioned, session did begin on Monday, January 12th. And despite it being a short session, there's already some significant work happening down in Olympia. You know, the state is currently seeing several leadership transitions, both in the governor's office on the legislative side. So there's a lot of energy. Additionally, the budget shortfall continues to dominate any state level conversations. The Washington Policy Center is projecting a deficit of about 4.3 billion for the 2027 to 2029 biennium. And so that has been heavily weighing a lot of the conversations taking place this year down in Olympia. Here is the SKIP legislative priority for this year. Over the summer, we did refine the language from previous years. And just as a reminder, SKIP staff do not take legislative positions per the direction of the executive board. We did share our legislative priority flyer with each of the member jurisdictions to include in their own advocacy efforts this session. And so any information that I'm sharing today is really intended to just be informational and to raise your awareness. So here is the rough timeline for this year. It is a short session, so there's only 60 days. It started on Monday and is projected to wrap up on March 12th. It's going to be fast and it's likely going to be furious. After our meeting today, we will actually only have one more executive meeting before the end of legislative session on February 20th. So I've put arrows here on the timeline to indicate just how much activity will take place after our meeting today before we meet again to talk about a legislative update in February. So Despite the budget deficit, the governor's proposed capital budget does include around $225 million for the Housing Trust Fund. And here on the slide, you can see a projected breakdown of that $225 million. In addition to the amount being proposed to the Housing Trust Fund, the governor's proposed budget does include funding for other housing work that's going on, including potentially $5 million dedicated to flood relief from the recent natural disaster that impacted so many of our neighbors in our region. One opportunity to see an increase of funding for aspects of affordable housing that SKIP supports this year would be House Bill 1717, which was initially introduced last session and would create a program by which affordable and workforce housing developers would receive a remittance on state and local sales and use taxes. It's important to note that this proposal would not add or increase taxes on development, and the intent is to create an incentive not only for the developer, but for the local jurisdiction. You can see here that if a local jurisdiction opts into the program that would be proposed to be created under House Bill 1717, 50% of the state sales and use taxes would be remitted to the developer, but the other 50% would be remitted to the local jurisdiction to further incentivize affordable housing in the community. And those funds could be used for acquisition, construction, or potentially even the operation of affordable housing. It's important to note that under the current version of the bill, smaller jurisdictions would be empowered to pull the remittance together through a regional partnership, such as through SKIP. Another bill that is seeking to create funding for an aspect of affordable housing that SKIP supports is Senate Bill 6028, which would create a fund specifically for the development and preservation of long-term affordable housing opportunities for households at 80% AMI. So both 1717 and 6028 are targeting not just affordable, but also workforce housing. The difference, though, with Senate Bill 6028 is that, at least my understanding of the current bill, there is no dedicated funding mechanism. And so if this program were created, it would be dependent on a future budget appropriation and potentially be subject to future uncertainty. Before I talk about the next three bills, I did want to provide just a quick update. As I mentioned, things are fast and furious. So in between the start of session on Monday and today, we have seen Department of Commerce requested a change in the name of the bill for House Bill 2346. That has now been changed to House Bill 2381. And the name of the bill has been changed to the Performance-Based Building Codes for Low-Rise Residential Buildings. So you can just see that change here. The reason we grouped these bills together and just briefly wanted to talk about them together is back in September 2024, Civic Commons was awarded public funding from WSCDF to develop the Comprehensive and Scalable Starter Home Production Plan. This was intended to create a playbook by which our region can reduce the immense backlog on homes intended to enable households to purchase their first home, commonly known as a starter home. Since September, Civic Commons has seen further investment in their starter home production plan by U.S. Bank, J.P. Morgan, and Columbia Bank. And in conversations leading up to this presentation, Civic Commons informed us that based off of the work that they've done, at least these three bills here have the potential possibility to enable the rapid production of the starter home type of housing potentially needed in our region. Those three bills are House Bill 2151, which would make significant adjustments to factory-built homes here in Washington State. Currently, in our state, we use our own factory-built housing standards. This bill would move Washington to align with the International Code Council standards for factory-built homes, which is a nationwide standard. It would also enable the state L&I inspector to use qualified private inspectors to help assisting in inspecting factory-built homes there at the factory to help get them out quicker. And this bill would also further provide clarity in the law around housing types that fall under this category, such as the tiny home model. House Bill 2381 would further direct the State Building Code Council to adopt a mandatory appendix to the International Building Code, which would establish a performance-based compliance pathway for middle housing buildings. It would also require the council to convene a technical advisory group to develop performance criteria for building systems, components, and materials, drawing on the national recognized standards, including those from the National Institute of Building Sciences. And then finally, Senate Bill 6015 would establish a statewide permit-ready plans program to reduce permitting costs and timelines. It would direct L&I to solicit, approve, and publish permit-ready plans for single-family homes, ADUs, and missing middle housing on a public website, which would then enable developers to have a quick and easy, ready, approved plan. Those plans, at least in the GMA planning jurisdictions, would need to approve the state-approved plans that qualify on urban lots and would exempt them from duplicative local code review, but would still allow site-specific conditions review. Slide 10 through 20 is a list of all of the legislative bills that SKIP staff will be attempting to follow during this session. They tie either into funding affordable housing or policy related to housing. This year, I've put the bills in numerical order, except when there is a Senate companion bill. And so basically, the bills are in numerical order by the House bill number. All of them are hyperlinked, so you can go right away to see where the documents are, the most current up-to-date status, and things like that. I won't go through all of these. There are definitely a few more that could potentially be highlighted. I will shout out just very briefly one that I've been talking with a few of our SKHHP planners about, and that would be Senate Bill 6029. It's all the way here towards the or 6026, sorry. This would not impact all of the SKIP member jurisdictions, but it would impact the jurisdictions that have over 30,000 in population. And this would eliminate the requirement to have ground floor commercial space, which would have a pretty strong impact for some of our cities when it comes to mixed use development. And so just want to raise awareness around that. And I know we'll talk more about that with our SOKIO group. And again, just thank you for the opportunity to present. But before I open up to questions, I do want to briefly turn it over to Claire to touch on a related topic. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen so you can see her.
Thanks, Darcel. So this morning you should have received an email from me at 9:04, transmitting a request from Habitat for Humanity's Chief Advocacy Officer, Ryan Donahue. Ryan asked if the board would consider signing on to a joint letter to the governor and the Department of Commerce regarding the 2025 Housing Trust Fund Home Ownership Awards, whereby only 9% of King County home ownership applications were funded. The letter amplifies that historically Commerce has allocated 30 to 40% of the homeownership awards to King County, but this year other urban, less expensive regions outside King County were funded. The letter emphasizes that the consequences are that shovel-ready homeownership projects in King County will result in project downsizing, site loss, or permanent infeasibility. And the letter urges Commerce and the governor to look ahead to future awards and consider that geographic targets should serve as guides, not hard caps, especially in years of expanded funding. Shovel-ready home ownership capacities should be protected in high-cost markets, and that outcome equity measured in homes delivered and affordability preserved should be weighed alongside geographic distribution. So my question to the board is, Habitat has made the request for your consideration. Would you like to sign on to the letter? And this is recognizing we typically don't sign on to letters, and part of that reason is because we meet once a month, and we are not able to be as nimble as is required to sign on to letters. Since this came, yesterday, in advance of this meeting. I thought I would bring it to the board, for your consideration. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any thoughts from anyone?
Yeah, this is Eric. You know,
Yes.
I'm not sure that I understood the how of how it happened, and I was just curious about that. I agree it seems like it shouldn't have happened, but do we have more information on the mechanism of how so few projects were awarded?
I don't have the details of that. I have a lot more intel on the multifamily rental side and how those awards were selected. But if others have information, I know Ryan would probably have some insight into that, but he's not here.
Liz?
Thank you. Similar to Mayor Zimmerman, I actually don't feel like I know enough about it to be able to support signing on to it, and would need probably some staff review from Skip staff or something, providing some guidance and some background prior to feeling comfortable endorsing that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And part of I think the challenge of signing on to these letters is that the urgency that when we're asked to sign on, it's really difficult, because we typically need time to get you all up to speed on issues. So, for me, I wanted to make sure that you all heard the request, but I think it's completely understandable if you don't have all of the information that you need to make a decision at this point. So the deadline was today, so so understandable if we are not able to provide that sign on.
Armin?
Thank you. Is he strictly looking for organizational signatures? Because I am a little bit more familiar and I would be comfortable like sign on as an individual, and maybe you could communicate with him if he reaches out to us individually. Those of us who are interested on sign on could do so instead of sign on as an organization. I think that's maybe a fair compromise if that is something that he is into, unless he's looking only for organizational signatures.
I'd be happy to share that with him, Carmen, and we'll share your name. To that point, are there other folks that would like me to communicate for Ryan to reach out to learn more or potential consideration?
I think, Claire, if there's more information that's available, perhaps that can be shared. You could send that information to all of us.
The information I think I have right now, I shared this morning, but I can, if Ryan shares more, I will certainly pass that along to the board.
Chair,
yes,
that would be my request, is to reach out to him, let him know that just because of the short timeline, it's a little bit of a challenge with a group this size to do that, but ask for any additional information he might have and then pass that on. So I think to Carmen's point that there's probably individuals on the call that can make that decision much quicker than we can as a group with a few questions answered. So
I would stand behind that.
Thank you.
Got more questions than answers. And if the deadline is today, it is a Friday, we might just be too late. But if there is the opportunity to participate individually, because it is a real concern, when you drop stats like that, and yes, it is completely in Skip's favor or interest, I should say, to sign on, but given the timeline and the size of group, I just have more questions. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, so I'll reach out to Ryan and let him know. We'd like more info. I'll share it with the group. And you all can take it from there.
Okay. Brian.
Thank you, Mayor. I was just going to say, Claire, I think for future reference, when you get a request like this, that you can immediately, and we've had these, this has been a couple times that we've gotten these, where we want a short turnaround, and each time it's kind of been the same answer. So I think you can take our feedback after how many times this is, we've gotten these requests, and be able to push back a little bit that we, as a board, we need more time to speak with a unified voice, and the short turnaround time doesn't work. Also, with what little I could tell from this request, it was basically requesting to supplant geographic diversity in favor of something else, which our founding, this organization's founding, was in large part due to a desire for geographic diversity of affordable housing. So I'd be really hesitant to sign off on something that, and I understand their intent, but just if our name is associated with sort of lowering the priority of geographic diversity, I'd have a problem with that.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
I'll just say we received the same letter at the county, and we similarly have said, like, this is a little too fast for us, and we may, raise similar concerns through different avenues directly with Commerce staff or, later on in the process. But we at least were given a deadline of tomorrow, but it was still too fast for us.
Great. Thank you. Eric.
Yeah, just to add a quick point, and maybe this is where Claire could ask more questions in the future too, but it's hard to know if Commerce might say, hey, we agree, this is a administrative or process frustration behind the scenes that we're also struggling with, and in that case, a letter is probably not fruitful. Or it could be that it's a blind spot for Commerce, and a letter would call attention to something that's a gap in the way they're doing allocation, but without being able to kind of tell the difference between those things. And I'm guessing that's where a lot of folks are, is we're not sure what Commerce's own outlook on the problem is, and therefore just don't really know. Even could we get council approval, for Normandy Park, we just don't know the kind of letter we're signing on to.
Thank you. All right, any other comments or thoughts? So if Claire can obtain any additional information, she'll send it out to the full board. And then with information on if you would like to sign on individually, or another organization that you belong to would like to sign on, that will certainly be your purview to do so. Okay. All right. Thank you for bringing that, Claire. And let's move on to other updates and announcements. Claire, anything else that you have? I think you had several, that you wanted to share today. So are there others?
I have a couple that are listed in your agenda, but did want to start with some of the board transitions. So we have 2 departures from the SKIP board. One is forthcoming. So Sunari Marshall and then Thomas McLeod, we heard today, has stepped away, and Sunari, I'll let you speak for yourself about
Sure.
this.
Thank you. Yeah. First of all, thank you for everyone I've been on. I would think it was an alternate for the first year to Kelly Ryder, but I feel like I've been with Skip from the beginning, and it's been a really valuable space for me to learn more about South King County. I have officially resigned my position at the county, and I'm headed to the city of Seattle to join the mayor's office there in just about a week and a half. And so my last day with the county will be next Friday. Folks may have tracked that Dwight Dively, the longtime operations and budget director of the county, is also headed over there at the same timeline. Before he went, he flagged for our new executive's office, which includes some of the same old people and a lot of new people. All of the boards and committees that I sit on, which turns out to be 6. And the need for many of them, they are officially executive appointments that have been historically, designated within my division, but are subject to the executive's appointment. So this is one of those where it does say in the ILA the executive or their designee. And so there may be, I just want to flag, there may be a little gap. I think Michaela will probably continue to track from a staff level what's going on, but there may be a little gap while we wait for that office to get up to speed and make sure that we have somebody here at the table. And so I have flagged that and make sure that our GR folks, Katie Rogers and others, are tracking that need along with the exec office. So hopefully we'll get someone in soon. But in the meantime, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone.
Well, Sonari, thank you so much for your time with us, your dedication to affordable housing, and for your time with us, your dedication to South King County. You have brought a wealth of knowledge, sometimes insider baseball stuff that we really needed to know, other times providing that county perspective that is so beneficial to us to have. And you have been a great partner and taller in person than you are on screen, as we found out. And I just both personally and from Skip, I want to say thank you for your expertise in this arena. And can you tell us what you're going to be doing in the mayor's office?
Yeah, I am one of a team of folks who, first of all, thank you so much. And I appreciate that. And it's been great to come here and be like, sometimes just going to be a housing nerd. Like in a lot of other spaces, I have to be other things like, senior manager, deal with HR issues and stuff like that. It's kind of fun actually to show up here and just be like, oh, here's a few things about how housing works. Yeah, so I am on a team of folks under Jen Chan that are on the operations implementation side, so implementing the mayor's priorities, and I'll have a portfolio of housing and things that help make housing happen. So some of the planning, the permitting, as well as a few other community development activities. And I'll be reporting to, who for some of you is a familiar name, which is Mark Ellerbrook, who was the division director at the county who hired me into my first role at the county. So he has gone over there after a tour from DCHS to the sheriff's office to Metro. And now he's over there as the deputy to Jen Chan leading that implementation group. So there's a policy team and an operations team, and I'll be kind of helping the things happen, hopefully quicker with less red tape and fewer bottlenecks. So I'm excited for that. And it's going to be really weird being an individual contributor, having been a manager and supervisor for 9 years at this point.
I think there's something to be said for that individual contributor.
I know.
There are some of us on the call that probably long for those days once in a while. But maybe at some point you would be willing to come back and give us an update on how things are going in Seattle and lessons learned and things that we might be able to partner on. So
yeah, that would be great.
Congratulations on your new role, but we will miss you here.
Thank you so much.
Dana.
Thank you. In agreement with everything that Nancy so aptly said. Sorry, been with us from the beginning, and it feels like a lifetime. But the thing that I want you to hear, and you said that you were able to learn a lot about South King County. I'm going to tell you, went in the other direction so many times. The insight that you were able to bring to these conversations and those pauses of did you think about, or maybe that's not the way it works, I found to be very, very valuable. So grateful for everything that you taught me and have brought to this group. So best of luck in the new gig. We'll be watching, and I love the idea of having you come back at some point and share the things that you're doing there, the things that are working and that might be helpful to us. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Claire, back to you for other updates.
Yeah, I mean, and I want to express my gratitude as well to Sonari for her commitment and engagement in this space. And it's been a pleasure having you here. So thank you. So I will, I'm going to be on vacation February 2nd through February 9th. I'm off to celebrate my mom's 80th birthday, but we'll be back February 10th. And then regarding check-ins, I was doing end of year, beginning of year check-ins. And I have met or scheduled a time to meet with most of you. For those that I have not set up a time with, you will be hearing from me after this meeting to try and set up a good time to meet. And so thank you to those that I've already met with. And those are all the updates I have. If there's other updates the board would like to share.
Any updates from any of our board members? All right, well, here we go for another fun legislative session. And Dorsal, thank you again for a great presentation. That's a lot to take in just a very short amount of time, so appreciate that. And Claire, thank you for all of your work. Thank you to each one of the board members. Dennis, welcome back. It's great to have you with us. And Sonari, we are going to miss you. And the rest of you, stay exactly where you are. You don't get to go anywhere. And hope that you have a great weekend. Hopefully, most of you are going to be cheering loudly for the Seahawks. And enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the fact that we have some sun right now that we did not have for, felt like the entire month of December. And for those cities who, like Auburn, had some concerns with flooding, may your submittals for reimbursement go smoothly. May there be no more flooding of this type for decades to come. And may you all have a great time and find joy every day until we are back together again. So thank you all very much and have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. We'll miss you, Sonari.
Take care.